Hi guys, welcome to the special Coin World web video. My name is Sebastian and I'm working for the German numismatic media. And back in November I had the opportunity to follow the team of Coin World to China, to Beijing, where they presented the first ever Chinese language edition of Coin World. And they also handed out some 500 free medals at the show, which caused a lot of frenzy there. And some days ago, I had the opportunity to sit down with my friend and colleague Jeff Starck, who is the senior editor of World Coins at Coin World, and to do a little recap on what happened in Beijing. And here's a little video of the talk that we had some days ago. So I hope you enjoy it.
The first question would be, could you just tell us what happened in Beijing? You had been to Beijing with Coin World, with the whole team. You had a booth there, and it was I was also there and witnessed everything. It was pretty extraordinary. But I want you to tell what you witnessed there.
Wasn't it extraordinary indeed? That, of course, was the first Beijing International Coin Exposition for myself, for representatives of Coin World, and we wanted to go big. That's why we had the Chinese language brochure as a way to introduce ourselves to the market there, the collectors there, and as part of that, we commissioned a special medal that shows a Chinese symbol, the panda, the well-known panda, with sort of an American symbol, the bison. And we decided we were going to give away, we made 500 of these, and we were going to give them away each day at the show and have them for presentations. And it turned out they were really popular. Collectors around the world, it turns out, like free medals, free coins, whatever, regardless of where you are. And the response was overwhelming, to say the least, as you witnessed.
Yeah, could you please go more into detail, because overwhelmed, I think it's very precise to say it this way, but yeah, just...
Well, sure. So we had a sign up at our booth, and we had good booth location, which we were fortunate to have the assistance of Michael Chu of iAssure and Champion Hong Kong Auctions in sort of making the introductions for us to folks that we needed to know and everything, and seeing that the metal project went off without a hitch. And we had a big sign at our booth in Chinese with a QR code, and said, "Hey, come by and follow us on WeChat." Everybody, knows WeChat is the big deal in China, and if you follow us, we see that you follow us. Show us, we can verify it instantly, and you're eligible for a medal. We handed out so many a day, and the show opened to the public, and I think it was 10 a.m. on that Friday. And there was sort of a trickle a little bit at the beginning, but as the distribution of the medal began, and as folks sort of began, the word spread very quickly, lines started forming. At some point we had to say, okay, hold on, we've exhausted the number of medals we had planned for today. Let's pull some more off the shelf, as it were, and give them out in a little while. Told people come back, and when they came back, there was another line. Well, to call it a line is maybe the wrong word, because it was more of a crowd, a gathering, and their emotions were high, to say the least.
Yeah.
The people thought that the medals were being given away in number order. We had 500, they're edge numbered. That wasn't the case. We were just doing it randomly, but they didn't know that, and so there was pushing and shoving, and there was a little there was disappointment a little bit for some folks who didn't get a medal right away. So we said, okay, come back tomorrow. We'll have some more tomorrow. And we gave away our brochures as well, and seemed to have a good reception for that. And so then Saturday, little could we anticipate. Well, we should have anticipated, and I think we deep down we knew, but it was a starkly different chaos that engulfed us on Saturday, because people started lining up before the show opened officially. You had folks who were in there from trade booths, and maybe there was an early bird badge, I don't know, but they got in there, and that's when the anticipation was really high, and the crowd was rather boisterous. And again, when show security has to come over and sort of be called upon to help break the crowd up and bring some order, restore some order to the situation, you have a hit on your hands.
Definitely.
So that was in the morning on Saturday, and then we said, okay, come back at 1 o'clock. We'll have some more ready to give away, and that's it. We're going to exhaust our supply for the public at that time. And we thought, okay, with people usually go to lunch 12 o'clock. That's traditional wherever. And our interpreter, Sarah, was very helpful in managing all of these situations, and you as well with some translation apps. But we thought, okay, we're going to start it at 1 o'clock. And the appetite for the medal was so strong that the line reached to the edge of the show floor at 12:45, and the security folks came over and said, hey, you got to start giving these medals out right now. We can't have this crowd. This is getting too out of hand. And so there were a whole bunch of folks who were planning on coming back at 1 who did. But by then, all of the medals that we had were gone. And so it was quite a spectacle. Quite a fun experience just to be on that side of it. Although, you know that there's small risk of having 30 people push the booth over. Literally, the bush was getting pushed in, and it was sort of a once in a lifetime experience.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, I can confirm it because we were there together, and I was, we were making fun afterwards that the two of us are professionally trained journalists, and we had our journalism training, but we had never been to a, battlefield before, and never did war reporting, but this was some very positive form of war reporting, I might say, because I was having very much fun doing the video camera thing, and you were inside the booth, and from my point of view, it was always it was a lot of fun, but sometimes you were thinking, is it getting serious right now? Is it getting dangerous right now? But then we had, as you said, the Chinese interpreter, Sarah, was there. This official security was there. And so in the end, everybody survived. Everybody had his or her free medal. And everybody got a free copy of Coin World Asia, which is also very important. I think from my point of view, it was not only about the medal. That was the big thing that created the buzz. But people were also, from my point of view, very, very interested in having this Chinese language edition of Coin World. Can you also say something about this, how you saw the reaction of the Asian crowd towards an American product? because one might think that maybe Chinese people say, I'm not interested in what the Americans are thinking or writing, but the complete opposite was happening. So just, yeah, let us know what you saw there.
Sure. Well, that's a great point. I went ahead and grabbed an issue here, one of the few we brought back so we could add to our archives, just because it was, we think, a milestone event. I worked with folks here in the office to come up with a list of stories that we thought would appeal to the local audience, and had, again, Michael Chu weighed in as far as, yeah, that would be good. There's some interest in that. So we wrote about a couple collectors and experts in Chinese coins that were from America. So there was that connection. We talked about there's all sorts of panda show medals from around the world, but we zeroed in on those that were issued for U.S. shows. So again, there was a connection between us being a U.S. company and the readers there, offering something that is related to both sides. And of course, we had just a news story about the new Panda coins that were being launched at the show, and had a little bit of paper money coverage, and it seems to have gotten some good reception. As you say, there were folks who picked it up once the medals were gone. We still had some of these, but even that, we ran out quicker than maybe we anticipated, and so with only 500 medals and only 500 of the brochures, it's a 16-page, very thick stock. It's very nice. I can't read a word of it. Well, other than a few of the ads have PCGS and Coin World in them, but that's okay. It's we're trying to serve a new audience, and this is the start, and we'll see where it goes from here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hope we can talk about this later in the interview. I just wanted to add some things that I perceived there. Because there were, for example, it was not only the people wanting this free medal or the free magazine, it was also people coming to the booth and asking, where can I subscribe for further editions, or people coming there and asking, can I be your distributor in Asia? So this, in general, for me, it was a very, very motivating experience, because in Germany we are always thinking about, where does coin journalism go, and is the traditional magazine, does it have a future, or is the future going online? And looking back to what I saw in Beijing, there is a bright future for printed coin journalism, and that was very, very motivating for me. Maybe we can still talk about the Beijing Coin Show for a minute. Can you tell me, from the days that you spent during the show, we were also wandering around together and seeing as much as we can, were there big differences between the American coin shows and this Asian type of coin show? Maybe there were some things that were striking for us. Is there anything that comes to your mind about that?
Oh yeah, it was so educational to be there, just to see how the show is set up, and to see what the market there was interested in. And certainly the expo itself is very modern focused. I don't think I saw anything more than 10 years old, maybe 25 years old at the most. It seemed to be the folks that were set up very much a trade show, a way to get the word out about what they're offering. And what they're offering, if you're talking about most of the dealers that were there, when you think of a traditional sense of a dealer, they were all affiliated with China Gold Coin Inc., which is the government official body that distributes the new coins, whether that's the Panda, the annual Lunar Series, or some of the other commemoratives that they've come up with in the past. There's been some, different, the opera mask, which are very colorful and different. There's been, some of the celebrating the actual space milestones, I think lunar exploration or something, and the Belt Road Forum is sort of a big initiative of the government there in China now, and they came out with those coins. So you saw a lot of those modern issues, all official issues. That was a large segment, and all those distributors, they all get a little piece of the mintage. And so they all generally have the same stock in those issues. What they do to differentiate themselves is there are a lot of precious metals products.
Mm-hmm.
So we saw jewelry. There were a lot of private issue metals that were made, various themes, some great, medallic artwork. Was very interesting and exciting to see that as someone who, I haven't love coins, but the medallic art and tokens and metals are, to me, as interesting, if not more interesting, than some of the mainstream coin issues, just because of they're often lower mintage. They're often, especially when you're talking about giant bronze metals, there's higher relief.
Mm-hmm.
More artistry to them than a mass-produced item that that anybody can get.
Yeah.
So that was probably the biggest thing that's different. There were maybe a dozen banks that were set up with booths, and these banks are just like your traditional banking institution. And here in town we have U.S. Bank and Chase Bank and Fifth Third, and we have 5 different maybe national bank companies and a couple local ones. Well, that's what you had there in Beijing at the show, and again, they were all targeting collectors of precious metals items, of medallic pieces. Again, we even saw some like Olympic pins. You saw more jewelry than I've ever seen at a coin show that I can recall, and certainly more metals, which was a welcome presence there. But the traditional China has such an historic coinage history, with all the cash coins going back so many centuries, and the bark paper money made of bark, and there's all this stuff, this great history that it encompasses, and that wasn't this show.
Mm-hmm.
This show was all modern. You had a lot of there's several slabbing companies there, grading and authenticating and slabbing companies at the Beijing International Coin Exposition. Now there was a national show that rotates, and we got to go to that and see. This was in a market that's the coin market, the big coin market in Beijing, that's at an old temple, and it's outside, and you have dealers just basically laying a cloth down and putting all their wares out there for folks to bend over and sort through and look at and bargain. That was that was the difference as well at the local market. This was the 5th installment of this national show that's a fairly newer event that rotates around the country, and the market is always there, but having the special show there and opening it there was that was special for the time that we were in attendance. And then there are some inside sales areas, not stalls, but they were very much like a mini bourse, but there were several of them around the periphery of this market. And so that was a much different feel than the trade show atmosphere just 5 miles down the road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree with you. And for me, it was also a very special thing to see the two worlds of numismatics that are in one city. On one side, this very modern, very a show in the best sense of the word show, the coin show in the Beijing, in this international convention center, and then on the other side, this very traditional show in the temple. And for me, when I look back at the Beijing International Coin Exposition and compare this to German coin shows, for me there were also some interesting differences. For example, for me the audience in Beijing was much more diverse. So in Germany you see, it's not with a negative touch, but in Germany I think 90% of the visitors of a coin show, they are male, they are older than younger, you might say. And from what I saw in Beijing, it was there was a balance between male and female. There were a lot of couples going around together, also a lot of younger folks, and that was very interesting to see for me. And well, I think you can compare the Beijing show to the World Money Fair in Germany, because this is also a very with a much more diverse audience. But also what was very interesting for me was, for example, the technology that was used during the show. So in Germany, you still have cash payments, and in Beijing, you could also even pay with your mobile phone at those very small retailers there, Alipay, for example, this payment system that we don't have in Germany and probably not in the US. And to sum it up, I would say the Beijing show was a perfect opportunity to witness international and the interculturality of numismatics. Because, for example, I have this image in my eyes, the booth of the Austrian Mint, this traditional Austrian style mint, Chinese people inside the mint, the partners that handle the business over there for the Austrians, selling Austrian coins to other Chinese people and Asian people, and Chinese people lining up in front of Austrian Mint, Royal Mint, Perth Mint, and all the others. There you can see that collecting world coins and getting in touch with other cultures was very lively and very active there, and that was very, very interesting for me to see.